family holiday in this fashion. So there are people, you know, that are here today that I've really not met before. And it's been the same for us all, and it's great. This is Lucy, by the way. But it's an amazing time to be together. And I thought, what a terrific thing that Christian Steve should say, could we dedicate the children today, particularly on here, on this site, and us all together. We'll never forget this, will we? We'll never forget this, will we? No. It's going to be great. So let me just say welcome to everybody. And to Alison. Alison at the back here is the lady who has kindly come and set everything out for us and got everything ready. So Alison, thank you so much for that. We do really appreciate it. The second thing I just wanted to say was this. Are we here playing games? Because if we are, I don't want anything to do with it. If there's no God, then this is just a pretense. It's just tradition. And it isn't a good way to live. But if it's real, then we need to do it in a real fashion. I don't know whether you know, while we're together as a family, let me quickly explain. When I was a young child, my father, our father, your grandfather, was assaulted by a cleric. And I just turned my back completely on Christians. So I grew up from an early age of really not liking Christians very much. When I was 19, I had a bet with my sister that I could get a date with a young lady. And that young lady, 3 months later, I'd offered to marry her. Now, I'd had this bet for a reason. She was a Christian and I wasn't. And I was going to ruin her faith. So that's how twisted I was, 15 and a half stone, very intimidating, very angry. And meet this young lady who is as sweet and as calm as... And she said to me, okay, we can have this date, I'll meet you in church next Sunday. So I stood outside. And when she come out, I said, well, here I am, God's gift to women, here I am. And she said, I told you I'd meet you inside. And I said, well, I'm here now. She said, no. If you want to see me, you can be here next week and meet me inside. Well, the same happened the following week. I just stood outside thinking that she would have given up by now. On the third attempt to get the bet sorted, I go into the church. And when I went into the church, I was amazed at what the minister said and how that sort of began to work in me. We then got married, we had a son. Why do I believe in God? We had a son named Dan. There at the back. When he was very young, we thought we were going to lose him. We thought he was going to die. He was in Bucknell Hospital, very, very poorly, and I was in business and very busy, and so on and so on and so on. The doctor took us to Bucknell Hospital one day and said, we can't do anything for Dan. He is so poorly now. Just to cut the long story short, I ran out of the hospital, went down, I could take you to the flight of steps, walked down the flight of steps, fell on the roof of my car, November the 5th, starry night, and I said, if there's a God, if you'll heal my son, I'll give you the rest of my life and tell the world about me. I can still feel the emotion of that day today. And 2 weeks later, we got him home, and the specialist, Mr. Brown, some of you don't know this story, but Mr. Brown, the specialist of the hospital there, he said, we don't know what happened to Darren's sickness. It just disappeared out of his body. And the sister, the Irish sister, used to come regularly to us to see how Darren was, because they thought he was going to die, and now he's living. So I went back to work, he's well again, and so on and so on. It's the whole Back the Edge band thing that we were talking to Paul about yesterday. And all of that happened. Then I go back to work. 6 months later, I nearly died. And I'm lying on my bed. I can only move my head. I've lost 2.5 stone in a short period of time. And I remember when everybody had left the room, including Paul Mayland and others, the doctor, and they left the room, and I said, God, if you are really, really real, if you'll get me off this bed, I'll fulfill that promise. And serve you and I'll tell the world about you. And it took me 6 months to get well. I think God's got a sense of humour. He knew I wouldn't keep my word, you see. And 6 months later, I became a